Hi, welcome friends. Today my topic of discussion is the second video of MCQ with answer from the essay Freedom by G.B. Shaw. I will provide answers directly, without options, to save the time. Now, let's start from the question number 30. Question number 30. It is not at all easy to know what to do with leisure, unless dash? The answer: we have been brought up to it. Question 31. I will therefore leave you with a conundrum to dash? Answer is: think over. 32. What is your only remedy at present? Answer: trade union weapon of the strike, which is only the old Oriental device of starving on your enemy's doorstep, until he does you justice. 33. What has been said by St. Thomas More, who has just been canonized? Answer: we shall never have a peaceful and stable society, until this struggle is ended by the abolition of slavery altogether, and the compulsion of everyone to do his share of the world's work, with his own hands and brains, and not to attempt to put it on anyone else. 34. From our earliest years, what are we taught? Answer: our country is the land of the freedom, and that our freedom was won for us by our forefathers, when they made King John sign Magna Charta, also spelt Carta, when they defeated the Spanish Armada, when they cut off King Charles' head, when they made King William accept the Bill of Rights, when they issued and made the American Declaration of Independence, when they won the battles of Waterloo and Trafalgar on the playing fields of Eton, and when, only the other day, they quite unintentionally changed the German, Austrian, Russian, and Ottoman empires into republics. 35. Napoleonic genius is one who has a dash? Answer: fancy for being an emperor, and who has the courage and brains and energy to jump at the chance. 36. I draw no conclusions. Why? Answer: because that would lead me into controversy, and controversy would not be fair when you cannot answer me back. 37. What happens if a man suddenly comes into a fortune? Answer: it is often found that, if a man suddenly comes into a fortune, he loses his happiness, health, and finally his life. 38. What is a conundrum? Answer: a conundrum is a confusing problem, or question which is very difficult to solve. 39. What did Aristotle say about the maintenance of law and order? Answer: law and order and government would be impossible unless the persons or the people have to obey, are beautifully dressed and decorated, robed and uniformed, speaking with a special accent, traveling in first-class carriages or the most expensive cars, or on the best-groomed and best-bred horses, and never cleaning their own boots, not doing anything for themselves that can possibly be done by ringing a bell, and ordering some common person to do it. 40. 9 out of 10 voters are common workers. It is with the greatest difficulty that a few of them can be dash? Answer: persuaded to vote for the members of their own class. 41. If you do not obey these laws, the courts will dash you? Answer: imprison you, and, if you go too far, kill you. 42. If the laws are reasonable and are impartially administered, you have no reason to complain. Why? Answer: Because they increase your freedom by protecting you against assault, highway robbery, and disorder generally. 43. If you live in a civilized country, your freedom is restricted by what? Answer: the laws of the land, enforced by the police who oblige you to do this and not to do that, and to pay rates and taxes. 44. What happens if a man suddenly comes into a fortune? Answer: it is often found that, if a man suddenly comes into a fortune, he loses his happiness and health and finally his life. 45. When we grumble, what are we told? Answer: all our miseries are our own doing, because we have the vote. 46. When we say, what good is the vote? What are we told? Answer: we have the Factory Acts, the Wages Boards, free education, the New Deal, and the dole. And what more could any reasonable man ask for? We are reminded that the rich are taxed a quarter, one-third, or even a half and more of their incomes. But the poor are never reminded that they have to pay that much of their wages as rent in addition to having to work twice as long every day as they would need if they were free. 47. Whenever famous writers protest against this imposture, say Voltaire and Rousseau and Tom Paine in the 18th century, or Cobbett and Shelley, Karl Marx and Lassalle in the 19th, or Lenin and Trotsky in the 20th, what are you taught? Answer: we are taught that they are atheists and libertines, murderers and scoundrels, and often, it is made a criminal offense to buy or sell their books. If their disciples make a revolution, England immediately makes war on them, and lends money to the other powers to join her in forcing the revolutionists restore the slave order. 48. What is the most amazing thing about the newspaper propaganda? Answer: the most amazing thing about the newspaper propaganda is that the people are foolish enough to believe them. 49. Human nature is the easiest thing in the world to change if dash? Answer: if you catch it young enough, and that the idolatry of the slave class and the arrogance of the master class are themselves entirely artificial products of education and of a propaganda that plays upon our infants, long before they have left their cradles. 50. Success at Waterloo, the victory was advertised as what? Answer: advertised as another triumph for British freedom, and the British wage slaves, instead of going into mourning, like Lord Byron, believed it all and cheered enthusiastically. 51. When the revolution wins, as it did in Russia in 1922, what happened next? Answer: the fighting stops, but the abuse, the calumnies, the lies continue until the revolutionized state grows into a first-rate military power. Then our diplomatists, after having for years denounced the revolutionary leaders as the most abominable villains and tyrants, have to do a right turn and invite them to dinner. 52. What is the meaning of prodigious mass of humbug? Answer: it means, delude the enslaved masses only, it ends in deluding the master class much more completely. 53. How do the people of the master class delude themselves? Answer: The people of the master class permit themselves to be deluded by all sorts of false propaganda. The man belonging to the upper class comes to believe that he is a very fine fellow, superior to the common run of men whose duty is to brush his clothes, carry his parcels, and earn his income for him, etc. 54. How is your freedom restricted when you live in a civilized country? Answer. When you live in a civilized country, your freedom is restricted by the police who oblige you to do this and not to do that, and to pay rates and taxes. If you do not obey these laws, the courts will imprison you, and if you go too far, will kill you. Friends, here is the end of the second video of the MCQ on freedom. Third video of the MCQ is coming soon. Thank you. Hope to see you in the next video.